The twists and turns in Austin, Texas are the place to be tonight in the Integrity Ignite series, and it's the Circuit of the Americas, the host of the Keep Austin Weird 103. Welcome back to our third week of competition in 2024. The Integrity Ignite series has had a fantastic opening to the year, and with two action-packed races out of the way, we're moving on to our third event, and it's the first non-oval race. Of course, a much different change of pace after, of course, quick racing at Daytona, the plate track, and then Fontana, California, a week of remembrance. Tonight, though, we'll be taking it through over 3 miles, 3.43 on every lap, all 30 of which, and qualifying is on the way with 8 minutes remaining on the board. I'm David Kreutz, your commentator and producer for tonight's event. Great to have you back as we continue to watch our early stages of this series unfold yet again. Now, road course coming in very early in the schedule. We've seen it before, and the juggernauts of last season are once again prepared to give it a very good go here in Texas. Thomas Bressi, who looked to be the all-time winningest driver of road courses in the Ignite series, coming out of 2023, he's back again, and he's looking to give a much similar show. It's going to be, of course, Bressi, who knows he had the speed last year, same car, same paint scheme, and the same driver. A lot on the line for Bressi tonight. He was the fastest man we saw in practice that time through, and as it stands, with practice times being relatively close to what we saw in the Ignite series, or rather the Octane series previously, it's going to be a very similar pace for some of the drivers who did the double previously. We do have drivers here who ran the Octane series event last year, such as Don Stevenson. Now, that was last May, and it was the penultimate race before our summer break. Stevenson, among a few other drivers here, has that experience, and we'll see whether or not it plays well for him, as currently he finds himself provisionally scored 6th on the grid. Of course, that is due to change with 7 minutes remaining, and a few drivers have already gotten across the line, such as Chad Mikus. Now, Mikus with a front row start at Daytona, a podium finish at the end of that race as well. A very good way to start the season, but troubles at Fontana really didn't do him any good. So as such, going to be looking for an early rebound race in the 25, and you're seeing him climb the hills here. The elevation, a major factor at this circuit. Right on board Mikus, and you'll see exactly what he's dealing with here. And with these stock cars, which are not in the slightest nimble, you gotta work yourself through every corner just about perfect, slowing down to a speed of 39 miles an hour, and then getting back on the power for the longest and quickest section of the circuit. It's the long straightaway, a DRS zone assigned here for Formula One competition, but ever since 2021, NASCAR stock cars have taken to the track in the real world, just the same as what you're seeing here tonight. So Mikus puts the power down, gets up to about 160, then gonna shuffle through the gears once again. No matter where you are, the elevation is just about always changing, and as well, the corner styles vastly different. Some are acute angles and very tight turns, some are much more flowing, as we saw Ackley, of course, previously, Chad Mikus in particular in the early portion of his lap, and now a lot of drivers navigating the second portion of the first half. And as it stands, Gordon company, you see Timothy Johnston. He's making it down now the longest straightaway in the circuit. Same goes for Cody Griffin. He's coming right through, and you can see Griffin, your Daytona winner, back on the track as he gets set for what would be his second lap. It's a 10-minute qualifying session because every lap here takes about 2 minutes, and that's if you do it right. Plus, if you were to use up to 2 individual laps going down to pit road twice, that's an extra 2 minutes added on. You might need up to 8 minutes to get 2 good laps here in qualifying. Bressy's going to be one of the first men to take it to the stripe, and that he is. 2:18.537 puts him about a second and a half ahead of Mikus. The 24 and 25 are currently first and second. Right now, going to be Blake Gordon then in third. Top 3 as follows. It's going to be 1.8 seconds back. Gordon is to new pole sitter Justin Morton. And Morton is a driver who, of course, we saw coming to his own in the later portions of last year. Monza was able to shine at that event with a very risky pit strategy. Took on the daunting task of not pitting at all, and it got him to the victory lane. And that was a huge deal for the 9 team, of course, getting the checkered flag for the first time. And as such, he's looking to do so once again. And you can see those long flowing corners we mentioned, a prime example. So much of this pavement not used, and it gives way to sweeping corners back and forth, left and right, and Morton right now the fastest of which with Cody Smith right up into second. Smith now going to be one of the drivers getting on his way, and it looks like he's performing solidly so far in the session, second as it stands, and Smith going to be another driver to watch. We saw him run well at Watkins Glen last season. I think there's a few drivers who might not necessarily be road course aces you have to look out for. Rob Ackley put on a show at Watkins Glen last summer that gave us a little bit of interest in his road course stock. He was the quickest driver for the final 10 laps of that 40-lap event and came just short of a podium, clawing through the middle of the field to make it up to fourth, just behind the big three of Thunhorst, Morton, and Bresci. He's a driver that I think we gotta look out for here. He might be a silent pick, but he's gonna be currently 7th on the board of the 17 drivers, so clearly has that top half pace, at least in timing and scoring so far. Timothy Johnston on pit road is in 6th. Sean Carmody right now in the Havoline machine is up to 5th, and Carmody, a driver who debuted last season, still of course a newer driver to this field compared to many who have been here since the beginning of the year, so I think Carmody, with only his 3rd road course race he'd be eligible for coming very soon, just minutes away, he might have a chance to flourish tonight as Don Stevenson shot up to 4th on the board, and he's now going to be looking for a top 3 starting spot. He's a driver who competed very well at Circuit of the Americas last season in the Octane Series, was involved in the fight for the race victory early until push came to shove, and Bresci at the line goes no quicker than 3rd. He'll be done for the time being. Now going to be Cody Smith and Justin Morton dueling for the pole. At the line, Morton is not going to be able to stretch his advantage. Cody Smith coming around. Is he quick? It looks like he is not going to be quick enough. It's 1st and 2nd separate by 66 thousandths. As it stands, very close margins. Another driver jumps onto the board. It looks like Kyle Cooper is going to get across the line 19th. Cody Griffin going to be currently in 20th. And Ryan Potter now on his way in the 99 for the first time here. He's going to get himself set up and get rolling into the hairpin. Turn 1 is the most treacherous portion of the entire track. As it stands, that number 99 machine is alone, so it's not much of a trouble to get through, but it's going to become a much bigger deal when you have more than 30 drivers stacked up against you. This is the smallest field all season. By a considerable margin of about 10 drivers, there are still 36 who have entered. That is the field of a modern NASCAR Cup Series event. As it stands, 36 drivers. We had 52 at Daytona, had just about 46 registered at Fontana, and we're 36 tonight. It's the biggest track we've been to so far, but the road courses don't often entice as many people. It's still a challenge, and when you go through that first turn, a narrow turn with very little room for error, we're expecting to see push come to shove as Braxton Weiss, points leader coming in, he's going to park it. He's going to be starting at best in 8th. For Smith also on the way. He's got a new look tonight, and you can see orange and black all throughout. It's a metallic paint scheme there for his Chevy Camaro, the back pocket 15, going to be coming through slowly but surely, navigating the circuit and taking more as an opportunity to practice right now, it appears, just trying to figure out how the circuit should, of course, intertwine with itself. Many different sectors, so many different styles of turns, areas of elevation and whatnot. The speed differences are drastic, so for Smith right now, you see being a little more cautious in his qualifying lap, knowing he can jump up to the mid-20s if he just gets one lap in that's clean, and that's going to be his priority here, coming around the final corner at the start-finish line, and he's going to time in with a 2:23.661. That is going to put him 19th, so even though he looked to be taking a cautious approach, it's going to settle out nicely for Smith with 19 seconds remaining. Wetton and Stagner, the only 2 drivers who look to still be going around. DJ got through 1 lap. It was a 2:22.966. Didn't look to get validated, so he will not be starting in that position, and as such, qualifying has concluded. Justin Morton going to go to the top of the charts, and he finds himself the leader with a 2:18.243, good for pole by 66 one thousandths of a second. As such, qualifying has concluded, and we're on to our second practice session. We got a lot of drivers getting set up for tonight's event, so how's about we get to know your starting grid for the Keep Austin Weird 103, Race 3 of 2024. Justin Morton going to be at the top of the board as it stands with a 2:18.243 being the quickest time set, and just 66 thousandths behind, as we mentioned, that's going to be Cody Smith in the number 18. Then from there, Thomas Bressy's going to be in third, with Don Stevenson fourth. Stevenson, the highest up of any driver. Of course, you remember him from the Octane Series race. Smith and Stevenson, both Octane Series competitors. We'll see if that expertise comes into play. Matthew Thunhorse is going to be fifth, and he has a 2:19.229, putting himself inside of row 3. Just to his outside, that's Sean Carmody, the number 40. Timothy Johnston will then be 7th with a 2:19.337, and Braxton Deweese will be in the 8th position, 2:19.376. Rob Ackley inside of row 5 is going to be scored in 9th, and just a few tenths of a second off. It's to conclude the top 10. Chad Mikas, and the 25 gets the job done for a top 10 start. He's going to be just ahead of Blake Gordon, who goes into the 2:20 threshold. It's a 2:20.292 for Gordon, and then Anthony DeBarro, 2:20.303. Nick Tarbuck is going to be in 13th with Brian McFerrin, then the 14th spot. Joe Dinsmore is going to be 15th, and Jacob Fife is then in the 16th spot. The gap between 11th and 17th is nearly 2 full seconds. It's actually nearly 3 seconds. Sebastian Miller, 2:22.939, far off of Gordon's time, but still only a few spots away, with Ryan Potter then 18th, Forrest Smith in 19th, and Boomer Logan position number 20. 21st is then going to be Kyle Cooper, and it'll be Cody Griffin 22nd, with a Brandon Bernhardt 23rd, and Alan Rawell taking the final time to lap, a 2:31.033. Elliott Drummond will be put up in the 25th, with Alan Dobbs 26th, Carter Casey 27th, and Chuck Sweeting 28th. It'll be 29th in Chris Gabot, and 30th in Tim Rogers, with DJ Stagner 31st, and then it looks like Adam Wood right behind in 33rd. 34th is Trevor Trago, Stephen Wetton is 35th, and the final driver of all, it's going to be the number 55 of Andrew Schaub, who concludes your 36-car starting grid. 2 minutes and 20 seconds remain on the charts for drivers in second practice here. A few additional laps going to be taken by most of the field here to prepare themselves for what's yet to come. Nobody's gotten a complete lap in yet, and I honestly doubt we're going to get one. The reason being it's just a very large track, and this is only a 5-minute session. You might barely make it in line if you do everything perfect. You see there, Bressy's going to be stalled out, but one driver coming right through is Chris Gabot. He'll get on the move, and even if Gabot goes full saw here from this point onward, he's just barely going to be able to make it through and perhaps get one lap in. It's going to be risky though, and you can see he's on the way looking to make it happen. Now, Chris Gabot, you can see him shifting the gears, going back and forth on the steering wheel. It's the perspective of the driver almost as he gets going and spins right around. So Gabot, if he chooses, can go ahead. I doubt it, though. You see so many people are on pit road choosing not to go for a full-on lap. Matter of fact, still nobody has set a time. Justin Morton going to be barreling down now in the longest straightaway of the track with 37 seconds to go. It's going to be a race to the stripe, and I don't think anyone is going to get there as they come through this time by 30 seconds and counting down. Morton, who is in a very firm spot to maybe compete for the win, pole position, just about the best place to be. He is the only driver to break into the 218.2 bracket And he did so, of course, alone in qualifying. So maybe he's got a bit more pace under the hood than we expected, because he improved by nearly a full second and a half in that practice to qualifying conversion. However, nobody is fastest in second practice, and it looks like it's going to be nobody with a complete lap time. Checkered flag on the session. Warm-up has concluded, and as such, preparation, it's been completed. Morton going to get into a very sick drift. Wow, how about that? And that's how we end our practice session. Didn't expect him to hang on to it there, but he turns it around and keeps things moving. And just like that, we are on to your starting grid. Didn't expect him to go anything more than looping it around. However, success in that nice turn. Morton, he's celebrating already. And as such, now you can see the start-finish line. It is empty just about entirely here, but drivers will be coming through very soon. You can see the start lights. Now, of course, Formula One competition tends to use those as opposed to just a flagman, but tonight Barney will suffice. So we'll have our flagman on standby, and we'll get the green lights as well. 30-lap feature. Do not intend to have any full course yellows in this event, and the reason being, of course, every one of these drivers is going to keep things going in a very, very large track. Let's get to know the Circuit of the Americas here. 3.43 miles of action, 16 turns, and it's a larger track than any other we've visited on the circuit to this point. Partly cloudy skies of 81 degrees with a track temperature of 106 Fahrenheit. I'll tell you this much, it is warm, and it's not going to get any better. The reason being, iRacing having a bit of an issue. Every session has been given constant weather within the past week and a half, and as such, I think that's going to be more the case tonight as it's been within the previous week. So it's going to be scorching all night long, triple-digit temperatures, and the heat with the sunny skies, it's going to add up for these drivers. Not going to be easy by any means. Expect the drivers to be working around that and also looking at their pit strategy. Perhaps we're going to get a one-stop strategy. Maybe some drivers are going to go for the two-stop, but I think the winning call today, one pit stops. We do not have any fuel limits. It looks like we do have a total right now of 60 pit stalls available. Tire set limit, though, that's much more important. 4 tires in pit road, plus the one you got on right now, so there is a limit on that. You gotta mind your strategy as the race goes on, no matter what happens. Not gonna be a full pace lap, so it won't affect the fuel mileage all too much. Just going to get drivers going here and now. It's Cody Smith on the outside of Justin Morton. Morton, who's gotten it done at a road course before, against Cody Smith, the driver who we've seen with success in the Integrity Racing League, but he's now looking to get that breakout race in 2024, something he desperately needs for momentum across both series, including the one you'll see tomorrow night as we head to Las Vegas Motor Speedway for 200 laps tomorrow on FTN. Tell you this much though, as it stands, Morton going to be the man who leads the field. The iRacing official pace car is set to drop in this time by. That it does. Morton going to take the hard left turn, the final 90 degrees, and lead the field right uphill to the highest climb in Austin, Texas. Green flag is out here in the Circuit of the Americas. Justin Morton is going to get things going, and as Barney the flagman waves the flag for the first time tonight, let's get things going at the biggest circuit in Texas. Morton gonna break out to an early lead here, letting the racing speak for itself. It's close up in front. Bressi gonna wiggle pretty wide there, but all things considered, he stays intact. Looks like one driver gonna be off of the racing circuit in Andrew Schaub. The rest of the field keeps going. 33 opted to take the green flag. 32 currently still on the circuit. Bressi gonna go wide once again. Morton gonna be in control up in front, and it looks like for the time being, Justin has it in his grip. You'll see that first big battle begin to develop about Matthew Thunor, Sean Carmody, Braxton Deweese in this area. You look further back and there's Blake Gordon and Chad Mikas all the while fighting each other, clawing back and forth. Great to have the chat room active once again. Chris Deweese, Doug Middendorf, thank you for stopping by. We're just getting things going here in Austin, Texas, and you can see already very close gaggles of packs beginning to develop on the track here. Morton going to lead into lap 1. The majority of the field looked to get away just fine when it came down to that early stretch into turn 1. Morton has already built up about a 1.2 second lead, and he's going to keep that going as he exits turn 1 once again. Bressi going to be right back there with Cody Smith. 3 cars go in at once, and you can see now Fife with Tabarro. Then further back, Kyle Cooper coming in. He's got Brian McFerrin ahead. Here's a further back pack. Ackley goes wide on Ryan Potter. We'll see what he gets out of it. Nothing there. Looks like Dobbs is going to try to go high there on Dinsmore. Can't quite get it, and you'll see turn 1 is a very big passing opportunity if you are able to take that risk. Cody Smith is going to drop back big. He's going to be able to fight now with Thunhorse, but he is going to drop out a second. Thomas Bressi takes the spot. So trouble for Smith, and you see him wiggling through the pack. He's ahead of Braxton Weiss right now, but just barely. Sean Carmody gets by him, and now Braxton going to put that power down in the Allen's Art Images 13. Right now, Timothy Johnston going through at the same time. So Smith, one turn can really set you back here, especially with the early nature of this racing. Smith misses one apex, and he finds himself slowly but surely dropping more and more time. As it stands, it looks like he's going to be running in 7th from where he was before, of course, as your second place driver. Bad news quick, but there's a lot of time to recover as you see Braxton Weiss going down to the inside line on Sean Carmody. Working low. He's going to try to keep himself on the racing circuit. Same goes for Carmody. A lot of room between the both of them, and Sean gets the entry just enough as he pulls back into 5th. Quick move there for Carmody, but of course Braxton Weiss going to stay right there on him. All the while, you see Cody Smith and Johnston are still in the mix. It's not by any means a 2-car battle here. Just happens that 2 are beginning to get themselves out in front. As we come across the line there, you also see Don Stevenson. He'll be running in 4th, looking to make up a little more time and maybe get up to Matthew Thunhorse. The road course big 3 here in Integrity are already leading again. Morton, Bressi, and Matthew Thunhorst, and by no means do we expect them to wait any longer than this. It's already some of the best in the business, giving it all they've got, and up in front already, you'll see him take it to the line for lap number 3, as Morton is going to enter turn 1. He's going to take it through that hairpin. Doesn't quite make the apex, but he's got a lot of room here. He's 2 seconds ahead. Doesn't have to worry about being picture perfect every time. It's going to be all he needs to maintain that lead. Coming through, Braxton Weiss is going to be again side by side with Sean Carmody. And Timothy Johnston there too, fighting with Cody Smith. A lot of pressure all throughout the circuit. And you'll see there, D. Weiss down to the inside and through the first of several flowing corners. 16 turns in the track, and you can see this accounts for about a quarter of them. D. Weiss is going to send himself a bit further back. Sean Carmody gets right up in the spot again. And as such, it's going to be usually single file through this section. Jacob Fife, though, going to try something on Tabarro, gets loose, snaps it correct, drifts through a corner, and keeps it straight. Now going to be defending primarily on Nick Tarbuck. Jacob Fife seeing the back end come undone. He does collect himself, but by no means is he driving an easy ride tonight in his Chevy Camaro. Already struggling with grip, and he's got a little bit of damage to boot, so we'll see what Nick can do. Down to the inside, looking low on Fife. He's got room and should be able to make something happen if he gets the drive off the corner. All the while, you see it again. Carmody and Braxton Weiss. Braxton gets the pass quickly, right on board with Carmody, and see what his next move will be. And right now, Sean Carmody going to be lying back slowly but surely, maybe working something up for the next lap or so. But as this battle dies down, another comes to life. Cody Griffin going to be right there with Kyle Cooper. And tonight, Kyle Cooper is no longer unsponsored. You might have noticed he's been a largely all-white number 73 for the past few weeks. That's no longer the case. It's the Buckeyes number 73 and currently finds himself in a 2x2 formation. You look ahead, and there's also going to be Sebastian Miller and Brian McFerrin. These two drivers keeping it close, but just behind, they're even closer. Griffin still going to be there with Kyle Cooper, and Cody Griffin right now looking to have a solid night. Top 15 might be the end goal, maybe go for a top 10. For a winner already in the series, he doesn't have to worry as much about the point standings, but every position matters. To put it simply, you don't want to give up extra points when you don't have to, so he'll keep on fighting here as Cody Smith comes down into pit road. He's got big trouble as these drivers continue to battle. Into the hairpin, just looks like a bit of contact. They'll stay side by side, and there goes DJ Stagner. DJ gonna take it 3. He won't get a spot out of it from both. He'll only get Kyle Cooper and end up wiggling wide. Maybe he can't even hold on to that. Now into the flowing section of the circuit, going back and forth. The left-hander, then a right, one more left, and a right again. 4 sweeping turns back and forth for the Ragin' Cajun. He gets by Kyle Cooper, but only just, as Cody Griffin really reaps the benefits. He gets away from not one but 2 drivers, and now puts himself in a firm spot to go for even more position. 4 laps in out of 30. Griffin looking good to keep on going, but DJ Stagner making time as Rob Ackley's got a bit of trouble, and he slows down substantially here. Ryan Potter coming right up on him, and you can see that number 99. He got very close, but couldn't quite get there. 5 seconds is going to drop him from about 14th to 19th here, so it's going to be a big recovery game for Ackley as he gets going once again. Watching this number 22 put the power down, grab the gears, and go at it all over again. He's going to have a long road to travel to get back up to the guys who are fighting ahead, like Stagner and such. DJ goes down to the inside, looking for some room here, and you can see the number 64 gets it. Just enough room. Sebastian Miller's going to act as a bit of a blockade, and the 83 plays a part of the battle here. That helps out DJ. He gets by 1, gets shot wide. Miller's got contact. Can he keep it together? No, he can't. He'll spin it out, and the control freak 83 lost control. Has to back it down and get off the racing circuit. All the while, he'll be passed by about 10 drivers, and you see there, Stagner and Griffin both get away. And just like that, bad news for the 83, and it looks like he's going to have trouble already to keep going. 23rd, not a lot of damage, but it's going to very much burn up the tires, and with how warm the track temperature is, it's still 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Very bad news. I don't know what else he's got left in it. He'll try to chase down Chuck Sweeting and Chris Goubeau, but as it stands, I don't really know what more could be done. You look further back to Forrest Smith, and he's got company here with Trevor Trago and Alan Rawell. Back of the field still running. All 33 who kicked off the night are still on the track. Cody Smith is now running in 32nd though, so he's really not having a good night at all. We'll see whether or not he can recover as the race progresses. Look up ahead. Kyle Cooper now going to be pressured by Alan Dobbs, and maybe Dobbs is going to put himself in the mix here as he slowly but surely enters the range to pass. He's got Rob Ackley there as well, and Ackley looking for a spot or two. Maybe he can get some out of these battles that are beginning to brew all over again. Never is there a moment without action here at the Circuit of the Americas, and that's one of the wonderful parts about big track racing. Of course, a 3.43 mile circuit, one of the longest we go to all year long. We went to the Nürburgring last year, granted, not the Nordschleife, but it was the Grand Prix configuration. That was one of our most out there tracks, but we don't often think of Circuit of the Americas as out of the norm, given that's in the United States, as most of the tracks are on the schedule. But I'll tell you this much, of course, in international circuit, we've seen it previously, of course, such as, shall we say, Formula One racing for now more than a decade, classic events, and of course the NASCAR Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and the Truck Series all together. They've gone here at least once each, and as it stands, working down through the longest portion of the circuit. This would be the DRS zone, but stock car racing doesn't suffer from the problem of passing not happening. It happens in spades all around the track. This has been a close battle for a while, but hasn't really heated up from there. We'll look around the track and find out a bit more. Here's Sean Carmody. He's got Timothy Johnston just a few tenths behind him, and it looks like right now for Johnston, he's holding his own, trying to get back up to both Carmody and Braxton Weiss. Braxton has been able to hold on to fifth and maintaining that position after getting it back from Sean Carmody. These two were battling for the opening 3 laps, and it looks like one of them has gotten away. Of course, much to the chagrin of the next man here, as Sean Carmody is going to run through the final section. Of course, last turn up to the very first, and maybe give him something here in the hairpin. There's a few other drivers who we have on hairpin watch. If you're under 0.2 of a second away from someone, we're going to put you on hairpin watch tonight. And we're watching right now with Alan Dobbs and Kyle Cooper. They're coming right up to the hairpin, and it looks like Rob Ackley's right there with them. This could get dicey, and they're coming up quickly, coming through the front straightaway. The grandstand's not packed, but the drivers are running like there's a blanket under them. Cooper's going to defend to the inside, but Rob Ackley's going to have none of it. He'll try to take from Dobbs. He can't get anything going, and he's going to end up losing that momentum immediately off a corner exit. Dobbs goes down to the inside, trying to run the curb, and we'll see whether or not he can handle the right-handers as well as the left-handers here. It looks like the right-handers might be in more of his favor, but it's those left side turns where you just have to back off a bit. Cooper's going to end up hitting one of the sausage curbs, and Dobbs gets the spot, and it looks like immediately out of the hairpin, a battle brews. Cooper loses 1, maybe set to lose 2 spots. It looks like he will. Now Rob Ackley gets himself up into 17th spot. He's gaining once again. Definitely not at the pace he'd like to, but that's an early start to get him recovered from that incident previously. So Dobbs makes up 2. Ackley gets 1. And as such, now Alan Dobbs going to be the commander of this battle. As you look up ahead, Jacob Fife, Nick Tarbuck, and Blake Gordon all coming together. These drivers might be susceptible to that hairpin watch. That's how close they've been. Fife is going to cut it close, and he really drives right up there to Blake Gordon, but just doesn't get the run off the corner. And even though he goes so deep there to the inside of the track to try to get something going, when you get the power down, the tires are already squealing, and there's really no traction. You can't make the move. So as such, Fife is going to defend down to the inside line. He'll let Blake Gordon try to work it out himself as well. Anthony DeBarro also here in the mix, and if something were to occur, push comes to shove, he might throw his hat in the ring, but Gordon right now has to watch out as Fife is going to make it in this time through. They're coming up to the front stretch all over again. Looks like Gordon's got the advantage, and he will be the driver who leads this 4-car battle in. Maybe now you'll see Tarbuck, Fife, or even DeBarro throw something deep into the corner. It's that hairpin which really sets the tone for the rest of the lap. Gordon's going to drop in, swoop down to the bottom side, and he looks to have a slowdown penalty, so he'll let 1, 2, 3 go right by. DeBarro's call is going to be to stay right up to the top of the track. Not going to make a risky lunge in. However, we see another battle brewing further back in Cody Griffin and DJ Stagnant. What's the call for these two drivers? Looks like they're going to stay calm as well, and DJ quick to go to the inside here for that early defense. 7 laps in, out of 30, and Joe Dinsmore also going to be right there. You can see him go down to the lower side. He's going to try to defend on Chris Coupeau, and the inside is so potent through that hairpin that if you get just a nice enough run to clear once again, if you get by the first 4 flowing turns, I think for many drivers, they'll be good to go as long as they hit their marks and keep on with the pace they had previously. That's how important that first turn is. It was a make or break for any driver in that earlier portion of the race, the first lap especially, and it's still going to play a major part of the rest of this event, especially with these drivers now beginning to spread themselves out into where they're running on natural pace. No full course yellows tonight. We will have bonus points delivered about halfway in. Justin Morton going to slip up just a bit on that lap, and now Thomas Bressi, he's slowly but surely inching up all over again, and maybe he's got something to do with it in the Exalta number 24. He's got a chance now, less than 1 second away. And Goodyear's number 24. You see the Eagle rubber there. Everyone's got Goodyear's, but it all depends on how you treat them. And I think right now that's going to be the big deal, the difference between Morton and Bressi, if that is more than a fluke out of the number 9. If your tires are squealing and of course you're rubbing off so much traction, you're not going to be able to stay consistently quick. And that's going to be a very, very big concern. The biggest concern for any driver, especially Morton, Morton as the race leader. Coming in this time by, lunging into the final corner, and he'll go right up to the sausage curb and take the widest exit naturally possible. At the line again, leader by about a second flat. That's going to be lap 8 of 30 they come through to, and Bressie, the closest he's been in the last 5 laps, gained half a second on that run around alone. One circuit is going to save him big. Morton's going to, much differently than Bressie, lock up the brakes, and it looks like he's got not as much control as before. The tires beginning to fry, and Bressie, a driver oh so confident in his road course prowess, beginning to make something happen here. Take a look on board with Bressie as he begins to make the twists and turns seem effortless, with Morton struggling more than ever. And Bressie right now going to keep that distance closer than ever prior. It was about down to a half a second after that first turn blunder, but Morton been able to execute for the rest of the lap and keeping himself in a very solid spot. As you see now, Timothy Johnston, Chad Mikus, and Sean Carmody in a familiar battle here with Braxton Deweese. It's going to be 4 drivers separate by just about a second and a half. Johnston going to pull down to the inside here, looking low, not going to have the pace yet to fully clear Carmody. They'll stay side by side. Advantage looks to be with Johnston as he'll hit the brakes, shift the gears. You see sparks flying, of course. Looks like he's going to have that entry down low. Carmody gets the run, and Johnston going to be very respectful of the matter, with Sean Carmody, of course, staying down to the bottom side. Defense for Carmody now going to come into play. It's all offense. It's going to be Chad Mikus who nearly beats and bangs there with a 28, and Mikus going to keep it very honest there with Johnston. Just couldn't finish it off and get things going. At the line again, they'll come through 8 laps into the 30, coming to lap number 9. As it stands, it's going to be the Haviline 40 defending on 2 drivers. Johnston goes wide. Mikus now gets in, and just like that, he's going to be running just about to the curb to get by Johnston, and he uses every inch he can. Just like that, Mikus pulls through. That's for 7th. Sean Carmody still holds his own in 6th, and they're coming to the line once more. Going to be 9 laps into the 30 for the drivers you're watching right now. They're going to come to the line all in succession, and it could be jeopardy at the hairpin once again. Look out for turn 1 as the drivers take that steady incline. Mikus sends it deep, and he knew what he was looking for all that past lap. He smokes up the tires and immediately gives 2 spots away. Risk looks like the reward, not what he wanted. Mikus is going to go as hard as he can in the corner, and he ends up smoking the tires and giving away 2 spots immediately. No big trouble. He'll keep on driving, but definitely not the news he wanted to give himself. And of course, an unfortunate circumstance so quickly as now Rob Ackley and Alan Dobbs work on each other. It looks like Ackley still trying to get around for 16th. Hasn't gotten it there to this point. As it stands, of course, going to be running just behind Dobbs. It's a gap about 4/10 of a second so far, keeping it very close, but also Cody Griffin right there, and Griffin slowly but surely fading off of the back bumper of DJ Stagner. Stagner running away with 14th for now. Dobbs and Ackley, they're getting slowly but surely closer, and as that distance continues to decrease, maybe we'll see a 3-car battle. As you can see, Dobbs is definitely quicker, and so is Rob Ackley. The gap now to Griffin, less than half a second. The 3-car wiggles once again, and now it's going to be all about defense. You see him bump, horse hesitation through the corners, but he's going to have to wiggle hard. Rob Ackley going to go lunging down to the inside, but it looks like not enough. Taking it down to the apex, Griffin is going to lose 2 spots, and you can see there, Alan Dobbs gets by first, then going to be Rob Ackley. This moves them up to just about 15th and 16th respectively. So this is the fight to get inside the top 15. Dobbs holds the keys, and of course Rob Ackley's a driver who was there previously. He knows he can do it once again. Ackley down to the inside. He looks way low. Can he get it through? Well, gives Dobbs a lot of room here, but not going to be enough off the exit, and that's been the big deal. Maybe we're going to see something similar to what we saw previously out of Chad Mikus. Chris Cabot going to be fighting with Ryan Potter at the same time. Going Gonna beat and bang with some contact. Potter gonna send Gabo right up high. Chris gonna get right back at him, and it's gonna spin Ryan Potter out. Now Chuck Sweeting gets by. Potter's gonna spin, and it looks like he's gonna lose his control entirely and have to get going once again. Trouble for Ryan Potter. Rob Ackley gonna stay right there, knocking on the door of Dobbs. He keeps that number 77 in check every lap, but hasn't been able to make the pass. Bad news there for Ryan Potter, of course, as he's gonna fade back substantially. Now, Ackley looking down to the inside, gonna take that lunge in. Can he make the pass stick? We're gonna find out here. They go through the hairpin, it'll be all about whether or not Ackley gets the better run out, or if Alan Dobbs can maintain the speed coming down to the line. Stripe to stripe, it's gonna be just about door to door, and Ackley gonna stay low. Alan Dobbs stays up top, no contact. Dobbs looks to have just enough of a run, and Griffin sends it deep. That's gonna cost him big time, but these two drivers continue battling. Now it's gonna be Ackley rolling in. He looks to be clear, and that he is. That's gonna move Ackley back up into the 15th spot, so he's back in the top 15 all of a sudden, and that's the best spot he's been in ever since, of course, that early incident around lap 5. So big move there for Rob Ackley. It was a spot he was desperately trying to make up, and that he just did. 10 laps in, out of 30. Nick Tarbuck going to be there with Anthony DeBarro. This battle is still progressing. Jacob Fife, despite the instability we've witnessed out of him, he has kept his car inside the top 10, running 9th currently, and his troubles have not dissuaded him. You see a little bit of back end damage, so it has not been a perfect car all night long, but it's still one that he's been able to work with from the beginning so far to the third waypoint of the race, and maybe he's got a little bit more left here as the Pro Powder and Paint Chevrolet runs in the 9th spot. It's Nick Tarbuck then in 10th. Anthony DeBarro going to be 11th as it stands. We previously mentioned him, multi-time winner in Ignite Series history. Of course, as of recent, hasn't been able to get a win this year, but this is only our 3rd race, and we expect to see DeBarro come back up to the top of the charts as the season progresses. A driver who we definitely see with those hot streaks. If he gets one win, he's a threat for about 5 or 6 weeks immediately thereafter. Big driver when it comes to momentum. Right now, Jacob Fife just trying to be consistent. Fife is still looking for his first Ignite Series victory. He got 3 last year in the Octane Series on Tuesday nights. Just couldn't chop it here on Mondays. And of course now with the Xfinity package that we see here being a little more similar to the Gen 4s on Tuesday nights, gonna perhaps help Fife out and getting that double time and even more experience as the field is still rising up the hill. It's a steep incline for Jacob Fife. He's continued to keep that defense very healthy on Nick Tarbuck. But Nick Tarbuck gets close again, still can't find the room, and Fife practically keeps the defense locked up each and every lap. Currently, if you look to the back of the field, Cody Smith going to be able to get himself up into 26th after his early troubles. As it stands right now, that number 18 Camaro going to be running outside the top 25, but with time to spare, still a driver definitely looking to gain more and more positions. With 20 laps to go this time by, we'd like to thank our official premier partner of the Integrity Ignite Series, Next Level Racing. As we remember from last year, the season champion in the Octane Series and the year-long champion in the Ignite Series was gifted a $2,000 sim rig courtesy of our friends at Next Level Racing, and we're proud to announce that their partnership with this league has extended into 2024. Check out nextlevelracing.com for more information about the highest quality sim racing products on iRacing. We'd love to have you support the Integrity Racing League and go out, check out Next Level Racing, sim racing equipment which has had you covered since 2009. We'll be right back after this brief message courtesy of our friends at nextlevelracing.com. Justin Morton leads 12 laps into the 30, and with 19 laps to spare, he's been the man that's led every lap so far. Thomas Pressey, close, but no cigar to this point, and he's found himself as the driver, running in second with Matthew Thunhorst then in third. Battles are brewing all throughout the track tonight. From start to finish, we've been seeing racing close as ever here in the Circuit of the Americas. You're watching the Keep Austin Weird 103 live on FTN, and right now, Cody Griffin, your Daytona winner, going to be battling with Chris Gubeau, and you'll see Chris going down to the inside line, maybe looking to make something happen side by side. The 52 goes low. Griffin has to go up top, and he once again gets shuffled out of line. We saw him battling previously with Ackley and Dobbs. Very similar motion, but that time he got sent off the track. Gubeau going to take the racing room, and he's going to keep on going here with Kyle Cooper. They'll run away and get at least a spot or two out of that one, all the while bringing Joe Dinsmore with them, and maybe Dinsmore going to have an opportunity to get by Cody Griffin if he continues to struggle the way he has. Up in front, Nick Tarbuck is still looking right behind Jacob Fife, and Fife has been able to hold on. Relentless pressure, but it looks like still Jacob's had it covered and is really not giving away in the slightest. So very impressive there from Jacob Fife to keep everything going very well for his cause, as the 36 machine's going to run down and in, apex to apex, trying to hit every curb. Doesn't quite get it there though, and it's going to be good enough to keep Nick Tarbuck at bay. One driver with a little bit of trouble, Kyle Cooper, facing pressure once again right through the fastest section of the circuit. It'll be a drag race at a speed of now over 150 miles an hour. Looks like Cooper going to be quicker entering. He gets up to about 169 miles an hour, then backs it down. Nicely going to go through the gears, but Chris Gubeau's got the low side and the advantage of making it into the turn. Kyle Cooper goes wide. Gubeau gets the spot, and he's still going to have multiple drivers behind, including Griffin, Dinsmore, and Chuck Sweeting fighting right there with them. Gubeau stays high. Kyle Cooper going to get the bottom side and the advantage right through as they come to the penultimate series of corners, up into the hairpin all over again. They're now getting set up for another lap, and it looks like Cooper really getting thrown all over the place. Just like that, Gubeau with the preferred racing line gets a spot right back, and with 18 laps to go, it's quick movements all throughout the field that have made everything happen from top to bottom. Those quick changes between every driver have been all of the difference. Look up and you'll see Nick Tarbuck going to go up high on Jacob Fife. Still can't find the proper room. He tried to slice and dice it, maybe to get a run into the next corner, but it just doesn't work right now. Fife has been able to keep that car wide all night long. Very few drivers have the ability to do so as well as Fife has been doing tonight, and even though he's been very close to losing the spot a few times over, you can see he'll go to the right spot on the track, he'll block it, keep it exactly where it needs to be, and he'll make it a living hell for the number 29 to try and pass. It's been close a few times, both he and DeBarro, but it still has not been anything near easy. As you take a look right now with the number 29 of Nick Tarbuck, there's an opportunity a few times a lap, but still, Jacob Fife, more than anyone else, has been a master of defense until now. He'll smoke up the brakes, and Nick Tarbuck now with an opportunity. He's going to get a better run into the fastest portion of the circuit, and now it's going to be a drag strip between he and Tarbuck. It looks like Nick down low's got the edge, and he'll pass, only for Jacob to go right down to the bottom side. Looking low, Fife is going to decide he has just enough to lunge in, and that he will. He'll take it low and down to the bottom side, trying to use up every inch there. And you can see Tarbuck being held steady at the same time. Fife goes up top, just can't get it there. Jacob Fife now going to realize he's in jeopardy. He just lost one spot and he could be losing another in due time. Now what's the question? Of course, what can he do? It looks like he's going to try to rub the curb once again. He might have to bank on a course. The only thing that every driver's used, the hairpin. Blake Gordon going to lose a few spots. He falls down to 15th as a result of some rough and tumble action. And right now, he puts himself into 15th behind Ackley and Stagner. Rob Ackley up to 14th as a result. Jacob Fife, though, he's having a lot of trouble here figuring out what to do. How well he's defended. He hasn't had to worry about this situation. But now, it looks like there's a chance for that to change. Fife, as it stands, going to be coming through this time by in the 36, working it down the front straightaway. DeBarro behind, Tarbuck right ahead. Will there be anything that Jacob Fife can do? It looks like lunging in. He's got nothing left for him, and he'll have to lie back. 17 laps to go, 14 laps in. out of 30. Timothy Johnston here with Braxton Weiss and Sean Carmody running inside of the top 10. Braxton inside of the top 5. And you can see it here. Braxton, as it stands, going to be running steady, whereas Joe Dinsmore just lost some time. He's going to be in 20th as it stands, and it looks like he's just going to lose a spot or two there. Chris Cabot going to come down to pit road, though, and now we're beginning to see that pit cycle come into play. There's Tim Rogers, Alan Rawell, you see Andrew Schaub, and, of course, you see there the Wanted Goons machine that looks to be tonight. Trevor Trago, perhaps, as you see them all come in. Ryan Potter on pit road as well. So now pit road going to get busy. Justin Morton going to be there with Thomas Bressi. And this is a huge, huge difference, of course. Halfway through in the strategy, and we are seeing some drivers already make it in. The question is, how much longer can Justin Morton wait? He's your race leader and really sets the pace here. Is Thomas Bressi going to try to go for an undercut? It worked at the Nürburgring, and we've seen it happen before. Or will Matthew Thunhorst try something? He's 12 seconds back. Very unlikely it'll work out. Right now, the leading battle comes down to two drivers who have been just about identical, save for 1 second all night long. The man who started in first tonight, Justin Morton, and the man who kicked it all off in third, Thomas Bressi. Now, our biggest mover tonight from 29th to 13th is DJ Stagner. He's in 13th, of course, so far out of the leading contention. Really not the night for him to go out there and fight for the race lead. But with all things considered right now, Morton going to be coming down the front stretch leading again. 15 laps in out of 30. Next time by is our halfway marker, and Don Stevenson now looks to the inside there on the number 40 of Sean Carmody. Carmody going to be staying up high. Stevenson backing it down to the bottom, and it's that lunge in that really makes all the difference. Now going to be that drag race coming down the front straightaway. Slowly but surely, you can see Stevenson actually losing some speed, and Johnston going to be right there in the midst of pit road, not in the battle any longer. Carmody goes high, Stevenson down low, but Sean gets a nice run and does not back down. Matter of fact, Carmody gets the spot right back, and Sean's up to 5th here as half a second behind. Thomas Bressi making moves, and now you'll see the battle for the race lead once again get closer and closer. Bressi going to be there in the number 24, looking once again like he's got a shot to go for it. And we'll see whether or not he's been saving anything here. That's the big question. It looks like these two drivers have been running their own race, setting relatively quick laps, of course, but for their standard, maybe there's something left in the tank to push for. As it stands, though, Bressi going to be the closest he's been, 0.4 of a second as he comes down the long straightaway just before we get into the final sector. Bressi's going to have that draft. Does he have an opportunity to pull in? It looks like he will not choose to use it, and he'll stay right behind Morton, laying down the pressure as there's a few lap machines coming into frame. Brandon Bernhardt going to be right up next. Bernhardt is going to get loose, go up the track, and let the leaders go right by. There's Morton and there's Bressi, respectively, both making it through. 9 Machida Morton going to make it through that time by, of course, the leading man, and now coming up on the halfway point. With 15 laps to go, we'd like to thank our camera partner, TrackCams22.com, and for the best cameras on the iRacing market. TrackCams for Gourmets provides over 100 car and track combinations for any iRacing track and car you'd love to broadcast, take the best photos of, and up your replay game. TrackCams22.com or Facebook.com/TrackCams. You can't settle for less on iRacing. The best cameras on the market. TrackCams22.com. Morton is in, and so is Bressi. Pit road for your top 2 drivers as they come through this time by, and they're going to be coming down to 15 laps to go. Time to figure out who gets it done as we are going to crank it up with 15 remaining. First off, let's take a look at the battle down on pit road. Morton going to be in, so is Thomas Bressi, first and second stalls respectively, and you can see there these two drivers holding their own, and now they're going to be neck and neck. We'll see if Bressi tries to get an undercut, maybe with less fuel. Can he stretch it any longer, or will he have to wait here? Morton's got it up in front, gets out first, and then takes Bressi there with them. All the same, they go at it again. Green flag still out in the air, and the pit cycle for your leaders has just concluded. Let's crank it up now with 15 laps remaining. Returning now with 12 laps remaining, the battle for lead more heated than ever before. You saw Thomas Bressi take the race lead, and now the question is whether or not he can hold on. 12 laps remaining, a dozen to do it right now with Bressi on top, but it's only going to be a 4/10 of a second margin, and Morton, the man who dominated the opening half of this race and found himself as the overall race leader coming out of pit road, now he's in second, no longer the top dog, as we have a dozen laps remaining. I'll tell you this much now, I know Morton not going to be happy about how the ordeal went. No, it looked like any contact, but it was all about that early section, the first portion of the track, the hairpin and the flowing four. That's been the big difference all throughout the night, and if you get through there, you seem to be good to go all throughout the rest of the lap at the very least. But Morton trying to flip the script, and you see how close he is, about a 1/1500th of a second gap. Not enough, though, and he's going to have to keep on looking. Multiple other drivers in fierce battles right now. David Bell, thank you for stopping by. Great to have you here watching aboard. Reminder, if you want to join the FTN membership program, we'd love to have you, an exclusive club of FTN's top supporters, and we thank David Bell for his continued support of the channel. I'll tell you this much, David, you're tuning in for a great race here. Morton and Bressi, these two drivers have been on each other all race long, and this is a battle that's gone back to 2023. Unbelievable how quick these two drivers have been at the road courses, and you can see there the Exalt, the Chevrolet. He's the leader for now, but Morton, who's led most of these laps today, well, he's got a chance to, of course, always strike back. Morton right now going to keep himself in second, but it's going to be a 2/10 gap as they go through the apex, make it there that time by. It's about a 4/10 gap as they go through the flowing corners of the Circuit of the Americas. Once again, it's been this fluctuation lap after lap between the both of them. Bressi experienced it, now Morton does. It's such a challenge to make things happen, of course, as a driver who's running in second, but as the runner-up driver, currently speaking, Morton definitely trying to figure it out. Bressi had a load of experience. He had over 15 laps as the man in second, but right now, it looks like he's going to be the driver instead as the leader coming up on some lap traffic, and you look on board with Justin Morton, not much he can do. See here, it's going to be Justin Morton still trying to figure out the curves, navigating as the second driver, but I think Thomas Bressi now really putting it all into this second stint. 110% for this 24, leading the way for the time being. You see there, it's going to be the 13 of Braxton Weiss, once again battling with Sean Carmody. It's going to be Carmody working up to the high side yet again as they go through, flowing back and forth, and these two drivers have been battling since the first 3 laps of this race. We're 20 laps in out of 30, and once again, they're going at it in a duel. Deweese, though, is going to have to back off just a bit. Sean Carmody's going to get through and nicely going to take that spot away. 6th place, slowly but surely. It's going to be a battle of wits between these two drivers, not just the cars. You got to find the perfect opportunity. Go to the inside of the proper time. Cut through the apex. Maybe send the other driver off with a mistake or two. Braxton's going to look, doesn't think there's enough room, and he will stay instead out of the groove here and let Sean Carmody get right back to work. You see there, the number 40 of Carmody stays, of course, single file, running down the fastest portion of this entire track, the longest straightaway, just about a 1.5 kilometers in length, coming out to just about a mile here, and as they go into it, it's going to be Deweese entering the braking zone side by side with the advantage into the apex. He will just barely clear Carmody, and he gets through once again. Right now, Braxton Weiss trying to hold off on that spot. Defense, it's going to be critical. The Havoline Chevrolet going to fade back just a bit, but overall, battles have simmered down on the racetrack with 10 laps remaining. Brian McFerrin going to be in a battle of his own right here with DJ Stagner. Stagner is still the biggest moving man of the entire race from 29th up to 13th. We talked to him last week at Auto Club, and he said his goal would be a top 10. If he get a top 10, it'd be a great week. Now, he's 3 spots away. He started 19 spots away. He has put on one hell of a show. I don't even think he's going to make it to the top 10 with all things considered. He's about 20 seconds away from being in the top 10. Either way, though, for Stagner, if he maintains where he is right now, he's going to be at a great spot to go in for a top 15 finish and salvage what would have been an otherwise disappointing night. And by DJ Stagner's standards, of course, we see him as a winning contender. The road courses might not be his thing, but he's still running solid and performing pretty well as we speak. 10 remain this time by, with Rob Ackley in 12th, and he's going to be on his own. Going to get by the lapper of Anthony DeBarro. Ackley has regained a lot of spots quickly, and even though he was in firm contention for a top 10 finish, which doesn't look likely anymore, he does still have a top dozen finish available. I mean, the 12th place run is not terrible by any means for a driver who started in 9th. On paper, he only lost 3 positions. In reality, he went down to about 18th. 10 laps ago, and he's had to claw back up ever since. The numbers really do lie in this case. It's a much more hectic night for Ackley, and he had to claw back tooth and nail among many competitive drivers. And that is never easy. So for Ackley, very good race to recover, even though, of course, I don't think it's what he wanted. There's still a ways to go to recover and keep on going. No reason to give up right now. McFerrin going to be chasing Stagner. It looks like Brian's got a little bit of front-end damage, and you can see that number 7 Ford Mustang working high and low, looking for a few opportunities and chasing maybe a run off a corner or two, getting some draft. There could be something that sets it off, but for McFerrin, he just hasn't found it, and I think that damage is really limiting him right now in regards to chasing Stagner. You can see he's trying to the widest portion of the track, getting those narrow entries to hit the apex, but it simply hasn't given him what he needs. Brandon Bernhardt now going to be in the middle, and as Bernhardt gets himself right there, it's going to be Brian McFerrin still losing time. Damage by no means going to be assisting. Now you can see slowly but surely Justin Morton getting himself in the mix with Bresci again, but that's because they just went through the hairpin with 9 laps remaining. Let's take a look through your top 10 as it stands. Thomas Bresci, Justin Morton, Matthew Thunhorse 3rd, Timothy Johnston 4th, Chad Mikus in 5th, and Braxton Weiss 6th spot on the order. Sean Carmody is going to be 7th, and Nick Tarbuck is going to be 8th, with Fife 9th, and Don Stevenson rounding out the top 10 in that number 47. Tell you this much right now, with a total of only 9 remain, we'd like to once again thank the primary partner of the Integrity Racing League, Next Level Racing. For dedicated sim racers who deserve nothing but the best, make sure to visit nextlevelracing.com after tonight's broadcast. The official premier partner of the entire Integrity Racing League. Extending our partnership into 2024, we'd love to have you check out top-of-the-line sim racing equipment, so make sure to do so as soon as tonight's broadcast ends. You're watching live on FTN, and we'll be right back after the following message, courtesy of our friends at Next Level Racing. Now, still 9 laps remaining for the driver watching in Cody Smith, but your leaders are coming up on what will be only 8 laps remaining, and I think right now the panic button going to be hit for Justin Morton, and you can see how hard he's driving it now as we come into the final section of the circuit, going once again into the hairpin. Hairpin watch for your race leaders as they come across the line with 8 laps remaining, taking it down to the front straightaway. There goes Morton. He's got Thomas Bresci right there with them, of course. course, but this time it's Bressie, the man who leads, Morton, the man who's chasing, and Justin not going to find a route through, going to take the apex and try to get a nicer run downhill, which could keep him in the mix for the lead. Bressie, though, has been very hard to pass all throughout the night, and so far, looks like nobody's gotten to him ever since that pit cycle. Getting through quickly on the first few laps with the new set of tire made all the difference, because now Morton going to have to wear out his stuff a bit more, and it is still scorching here in the Circuit of the Americas, albeit it's not necessarily as much as it was previously. 105 degrees when we started, we're down to 95 Fahrenheit. So even though it's still very, very warm, I don't think you'd like to touch the track with your bare hands. It's getting better, slowly but surely, and marginally we're seeing much more calm driving conditions. We might even hit under 90 when the race is over. At that point, I think we'll have a much cooler track for a few more battles as Don Stevenson wiggles wide and lets Jacob Fife go right through. Now it's going to be Stevenson looking to recover, and your leaders are still about a quarter of a second apart here. Really, these two drivers have not been able to let each other go. Morton going to look down to the inside line. He looks back up, doesn't have room to go for it, but definitely eyeing the possibility to make a late charge and a pass occur at the very end. Now for Justin Morton, it's going to be that number 9 team still trying to figure out what happened and collecting the pieces. However, it isn't a very large time slot he's lost per se. He's only 0.3 of a second back, and there's an ample opportunity throughout the circuit to make up 0.3 of a second multiple times over. He's not more than 1 second out, not even less than a half second out. Now he's going to be within 0.2 of a second, which is the gap that very few drivers are able to maintain. Over the course of 23 laps and just about 45 minutes of racing, these two drivers have been nearly identical with less than a second classifying them from one to the other. That goes to show how dead even these drivers are at road courses. It's a JTM 1-2 and goes down to third with Matthew Thunhorse, but Thunhorse has been in his own world. If he was the driver who led the race, he'd lead it by 7 seconds, and that would be without Morton or Bressie in the race. So Thunhorse has been dominant in his own right, recovering last week a big-time run from, I believe he started 37th up to 3rd, and he got up to the podium. Tonight, he has been a bit more of a smooth sailor. There hasn't been as exciting of a run. He's been up there since the jump, started 5th. He moved up to 3rd, so not really going to be the warrior passing through the entirety of the field. Instead, he's been smooth sailing and hasn't had to worry about all too much. I mean, right now, Timothy Johnston is in 4th, and while he's still chasing his first career podium, there's a chance it comes tonight, but he'll need a mistake out of Thunhorse or a few mistakes as the ever since number 28 makes it through yet again. How about Chad Mikas running in 5th right now? We saw a few problems for him. As it stands, the 25 machine, despite a few bobbles back and forth, is running a very solid race, and he's had a good start to the season, and besides Auto Club, of course, and having a podium finish at Daytona, now on the track for what would be a top 5 finish here in the Circuit of the Americas. He and Braxton Deweese might be the top 2 championship contenders right now. You see, Deweese came in as the points leader. He's running in 6th as it stands. Maybe one more spot would really solidify him as it stands. Of course, running 6th is not a bad thing, but Mike is going to get a few points back, and of course, these two drivers are going to get a hell of a lot of points back all at once because they are running on their own. They're the only 2 drivers to lead a lap, and they have been dominant since the jump. Bressie right now with the edge, but don't count out Morton either. This is going to be a huge race for them in the championship standings, and if Bressie wants to go for another very competitive run to the title, like he did in 2023, this is the race that can kickstart everything and get him back to the driver we remember, as now it's going to be Timothy Johnston in the inside line and Chad Mikas up top, side by side. You can see how close they are. It's going to be door to door as they come through another very tight section. The fastest portion of the track, Braxton Deweese is going to wiggle and nearly get into Johnston. He tried to get something out of it, but he's going to keep himself in the same spot. Mikas is actually going to gain. Johnston not going to be happy, bangs that number 13 out the way, and they're beating and banging here as Timothy now tries to get back here at Mikas. As it stands, you can see it's Chad Mikas getting away. Timothy Johnston, though, with pressure and looking right behind. Braxton Deweese still wants the spot. Johnston going to be coming across the stripe. 6 laps to go for him to keep on defending Braxton Weiss. That doesn't sound like a lot of time, but with a nearly 4-mile lap each and every time around, there's ample opportunity for everyone on this circuit to keep on fighting no matter where. DeWeese is going to get by Timothy Johnston again. That puts him up into 5th. Chad Mikus is now going to be in 4th, and Johnston going to lose 2 spots, and all of a sudden his opportunity for a top 5 finish is now going to be in jeopardy, let alone a podium here. It looks like bad news for Johnston in the late going. 6 to go. Maybe he'll pull it back together, but no promises as he enters the final running laps of this event. No yellow flags. Full course yellows have been disabled by this rate. We didn't have any problems very early in the going. As it stands, though, maybe going to be a little left for these drivers, but I don't think we're going to get that full course yellow. We could see some major incidents, though. No telling what happens in these final laps. Chuck Sweeting right now going to be getting up to Kyle Cooper. Cooper running a very solid 17th. He started in 21st tonight, so he's made it up a few spots. Chuck Sweeting, same for him. He's gone from 26th up to 18th. He's made it up a total of 12 positions. Not at all a race to be disappointed in for Sweeting, who has made himself up from the back of the field and slowly but surely gone even higher. I'd have to keep out for this number 75 if I were Kyle Cooper. He is still looking to gain and pounce each and every lap. He didn't have a qualifying lap. That's what really set him back early, and ever since then he's been able to slowly but surely methodically make his way through, and as such he's right there with Kyle Cooper. As you see back in front, Sean Carmody going to be on his own. Joe Dinsmore's a lap machine, but Nick Tarbuck is right behind him. And right now, the top 10, not full of surprises. If we were to go through the top 10 in its entirety, we'll show you who started where. Thomas Bressie, who's leading, started in 3rd. Justin Morton, who is 2nd, started as your leader. Matthew Thunhorst, who is in 5th. Well, when he started, now he's up to 3rd. Then you go back and Chad Mikus started in 10th. He's up into 4th. Then from there, Braxton Weiss has been from 8th to 6th. Sean Carmody's actually lost a spot. He's gone down from what was, of course, a 6th place start down to 7th on the order. Nick Tarbuck has gone from 13th to 8th. And Jacob Fife, your biggest mover in the top 10, 16th to 9th. By no means is that a small feat in itself, but Don Stevenson wants to make that number 1 spot smaller. He started in 4th tonight, and he's been the biggest loser of the top 10. He's gone from 4th to 10th, losing 6 spots. He's actually traded with Chad Mikus. Mikus started in 10th. He's in 4th. Don Stevenson started in 4th. He's in 10th. So they've gone for just about a perfect swap tonight, whereas your leaders, they started up front. They're still up front. You kick it off on the podium. It's very, very hard to lose that spot, especially with the prowess of these two drivers, the best in the business when it comes to road course racing and integrity. And here they go again, making it down the fastest straightaway here in Texas, going to the speed of about 170 miles an hour before backing down to 44 miles an hour. It's a 130 mile an hour difference in the heat of the moment. It's hard to get that right, but both drivers have done so fantastically. 5 laps to go this time by, and I'll tell you this much, the rest of this race will be uninterrupted coverage from here on out, courtesy of our friends at nextlevelracing.com. Check out nextlevelracing.com after tonight's broadcast, and we'll bring you back the remainder of this race, courtesy of our friends at Next Level Racing. We'll be right back after our final message. Laps remain. Thomas Bressie up in front, Justin Morton there in 2nd, and these two drivers have held steady ever since the jump, still fighting each other for the race lead. If you're tuning in for the first time, you're watching the Keep Austin Weird 103 up 30 lap spectacle of the Circuit of the Americas, and the final battles of the day have not nearly died down. I think they're only getting a little more exciting as Braxton Weiss is looking now on Chad Mikus. Stays high, he will pivot down low. He's going to decide not to go go for that and instead stay on the back end. Leaders, though, going to be close once again, rushing downhill. You can see how close Justin Morton is to making something happen. There he'll go, down to the inside line. Justin Morton now looking for the lead. It's the closest he's been all race since he got passed, but not enough. He'll end up backing off by a few tenths of a second. Bressi gets the run, and it's all he'll need to get right back into full speed, powering down once again. Very nice there from Thomas Bressi, whereas Justin Morton doesn't seem to have any response immediately. And of course, that could be the final straw for the 9 team, but there's still a lot of opportunities in the next few laps. We got just about 15 miles still remaining to go, and these drivers have made no shortage of moves when the going gets rough. Chad Mike is now going to be up high with Braxton Weiss pushing low. He's going to take the spot only to get crossed over. Now it's going to be that number 25 of Micus going down to the apex, but just can't get the speed. You saw the tires lock up. That's all she wrote. It's going to be now Micus into 5th. Braxton gets up into 4th, making a quick pass once again. Look for the back. Don Stevenson going to be keeping himself just within the top 10's confines, but Jacob Fife might be able to put himself one spot higher. He's slowly but surely inching up on Nick Tarbuck. All the while, Stevenson wants to put on some pressure, and see there, going down to the inside line, the number 47 trying to take a spot. Can he get lower? It looks like he can, but not going to be enough until the next section of corners. They're side by side now. Fife is not clear, nor is Stevenson. Working up high, Don's going to take it. And it looks like he'll bobble once again. Not going to be enough to make a spot out of it. 3 laps to go for your leaders, and Bressi once again breaks away. Take a look on the back bumper here as you'll see Thomas now going to be 6 tenths ahead. And you can see now Justin Morton trying to lunge into the corners. Gap is going to be 4.5 tenths of a second. Morton's still going to keep himself carrying through with momentum, but it's going to be about these longer portions with the higher speeds. The braking zone isn't as meticulous. You can send it in deeper, maybe make a risky play in, and that's going to be the biggest opportunity right now for any driver. Morton and Bressi know alike. That's what this race could come down to. However, you can see it on the front end of their cars. They are JTM teammates. JTM is running 1, 2, 3 as a team, and they've dominated the road courses over the Ignite Series history. Doesn't mean they're going to come out with this one unscathed, though. Just because they're teammates doesn't mean they're not going to fight for this win. You've seen Morton look for moves. You've seen Bressi defend aggressively. They're all for themselves in the final stages of this one, and with Thomas Bressi now holding fort up in front, maybe there's a little more that Justin Morton can do, but it's all do or die from here on out. 2 laps to go. That's what we're coming around to this time by. Coming through the final stretch of this lap into the, of course, ultimate corner. 90-degree turn, hard left, lapper spins. That's Adam Wood nearly into the leaders, and that could have been jeopardy. Luckily, nothing comes of it for Steel Horse Racing's 45, but it looks like Adam Wood going to spin in front of your leaders. They both get away, and as such, Bressi and Morton separate now by 7 tenths. All the while, Chuck Sweeting going to be side by side there with Cody Griffin. Looks like Sweeting going to get away. He's now going to move up into 19th, clearing just barely. How about that? The number 3 there of Cody Griffin holding his own in 20th, but he's not going to be done yet. Tries to send it a bit further. That won't work out, and now Griffin going to have to continue struggling here, and as you can see, the leaders coming up. Bressi going to be up in the lap car battle very, very soon. And you can see Thomas Bressi making his way in. That number 24 got a few lappers to deal with here, but we'll see how important they become. The scoring tower in the background of these drivers as they fly downhill. Circuit of the Americas, a vast structure with 4 miles nearly of racing every lap, and the twists and turns now. Every driver's familiar with them, but none more than Thomas Bressi need these next 16 turns in the final lap to go better than ever before. Lappers are still right ahead. Cody Griffin going to be passed there by Chuck Sweeting. Nothing really more is going to happen from this point onward. Number 3 machine of Griffin's going to be far behind. Sweeting has the pass, but Bressi and Morton, those are the variables, and they're diving deep once again, hitting the apex proper. There goes Bressi, and the same thing goes for Justin Morton. Now coming through, one last technical question. Could it be the question of who's got the right move into every corner, the apex, into another driver? There's lap traffic. What's it going to be? What is the answer about the proper move? Morton is going to end up lower, but Bressi gets a nice runoff once again. Going through each and every corner, looks like Griffin's going to bow down. He'll let the leaders go by, and it will be all their lap. 29 laps have been completed to get to this point, and there will be only one remaining. Heading through the final 90-degree corner this time by Bressi with the advantage, but only just. Barney the Flagman is set to wave the white one more time, and it will be your final lap in Austin, Texas. 1 lap to go. Bressi going to be up in front. It looks like right now Morton going to be just about 0.4 of a second behind, and as it stands, looks like it's going to be all about that hairpin, sending it deep, looking high. Morton's going to try to make something happen. Can't get it there. Bressi gets a nice run down. The advantage through first sector already in Bressi's favor. And as it stands, going through the sweeping corners, Bressi now going to have that 0.7 of a second advantage. The Exalta Chevrolet has the lead, and this could be it. Morton going to give away a very major opportunity there, sending it deep, but he knows the job's not done, and all could still change. He stays right on the back bumper, sends it deep, and this is when it comes to giving it all you have. Don't want to hit the sausage curbs, but every inch of the curbs otherwise, that is free reign. Track limits do not matter now. It's all about using every inch. Gonna send it into the braking zone just a bit deeper. Staying on the back bumper of Bressi is gonna be the end goal. And now Thomas Bressi through the fastest section of the track. They're gonna ramp up from 80 miles an hour up to 170, and this could be it. Working through, the drivers are coming by, and you'll see they rupture the curb, and they're gonna send our camera shaking. Bressi right now has got to keep a watch on his rear view mirror. Morton right behind, can't go for a dive, and now it's all down to technicality. The most intricate part of the circuit for both drivers. Minimal banking change, minimal elevation. Morton's gonna try to cut low, can't get a piece of it. He ends up sliding high, and Bressi gets a bit of a run off, and now this is it. Making it through this time by, it looks like Bressi's got the advantage and will come down to the checkered flag. The 24's got an opportunity to hold fort, but it's not done yet. They're gonna make it down to the final run. Morton gonna try to put the power down just a bit further, and this will be it. 2 more turns from this point onward. Bressi's set to lead through the first. Can Morton dive through in the second? That's the question. Checkered flag is waving. Morton with the opportunity, sending it deep, but not nearly enough. Bressi comes back in style in Austin, Texas, and will win from the Circuit of the Americas. Checkered flag out for Thomas Bressi. Morton finishes second, and it's a JTM 1-2-3 if they all cross the stripe. Matthew Thunhorst set to finish third. Dominance for the team, and Bressi with the pit strategy to keep him just in the game, makes the pass and collects the checkered flag. No real challenge from there for Bressi, and as such, the road course king returns to his throne. At the line, JTM will secure a 1-2-3 finish. The team will lock up the podium with a 4th place finish for Braxton Weiss, all but secured. There's still battles playing out though. Timothy Johnston going to run right behind Chad Mikus. Mikus 5th, Johnston 6th. Coming through this time by Carmody going to be 7th, and Nick Tarbuck 8th as your lead lappers come around, and Thomas Bressi is set to finish up the day. He'll go for a cool down lap and we'll bring you your race results. Stay tuned for top 3 interviews. It'll be Thomas Bressie, who won over Justin Morton, and Matthew Thunhorst in 3rd, with Braxton Louise 4th, Chad Mike is 5th, and Timothy Johnston position number 6. 7th is going to be Sean Carmody, with 8th Nick Tarbuck, 9th Jacob Fife, and Don Stevenson concluding the top 10. It's 11th Anthony DeBarro, 12th Rob Ackley, 13th DJ Stagner, 14th Brian McFerrin, and 15th Alan Dobbs, with Blake Gordon 16th, Kyle Cooper 17th, and Cody Smith then 18th. Cody Griffin will be 19th, with Chuck Sweeting 20th. Then it'll be 21st Sebastian Miller, Adam Wood 22nd, Boomer Logan 3rd, Stephen Wetton 24th, and Joe Dinsmore 25th. It'll be Brandon Bernhardt 26th, Chris Cabot 27th, and Tim Rogers 28th, with 29th Ryan Potter and Forrest Smith 30. To round out the field, Andrew Schaub 31st, Trevor Trago 32nd, and Alan Rawell 33rd. And JTM Motorsports celebration, it's set to begin. Bressie, the man who will lead them through, and the 1-2 tandem pulling each other around the track. They led every lap, they led just about every mile, and as such, they're going to come around and burn down the house. Bressie is now going to be the man who's in cool down mode, while Morton decides to get a little bit into it. You'd see him drifting around the circuit again. And now Thomas Bressie coming by. He will not burn down the tires just yet. Just going to give it a little more time. And now it looks like it's just about time indeed to celebrate a fantastic performance in the number 24. Bressie coming through, and it looks like the burnout is set to begin. Coming around right to the flagman, and here we go. Thomas Bressie celebrating in Texas. Thomas Bressie, collecting the checkered flag, gets it done here in COTA. How about that performance for the number 24? And of course, we've seen his dominance of the road courses previously, and every one of those moments, of course, he's been the man at the checkered flag due to a strategy call, which always seems to work out when the moment is right. And for Thomas Bressie, again, that is the case. You might have said early in the going he was second on speed, but that all changed in the dying laps, and he got through with pit strategy, one stop, and it was one pass that made all the difference. JT Motorsports 1-2-3 tonight, and it all starts off with their winner in Thomas Bressie, who came through and got it done on top. He came through, of course, starting in 3rd, but eventually made way to victory lane. It's a 1-2-3 for JTM, and what a battle it was between you and Justin Morton. Thomas Bressie, you're a winner for the first time here in 2024, and you collect the checkered flag at a road course unlike any other, the Circuit of the Americas. How are you feeling with the victory in hand, your first of the year?
Great. I mean, Justin definitely kept me honest, so hats off to him. He drove a really good race, and hats off to Matt, because he also drove a really good race, but he actually kept it between the white lines and didn't have any off tracks. Meanwhile, the rest of us had like 100, but it's fine. We'll gloss over that. So, no, but it was good. Yeah, just happy to get the win early in the year, and just I knew it was going to be tricky. I figured it's very this track requires a fair bit of discipline just to let the car flow, especially in these cars. It's really tricky. It's just letting it flow and just really taking care of your equipment. So it's very hard to like try to pass people and race people without really destroying what you have. So that was kind of the challenge in the first run, because Justin got away and I was trying to catch him but not destroy my tires, which I got to slow down the first run, and that didn't help me, but closed the gap back up. And then I figured, after the pit stop, I was like, well, if I can get him now and then just maybe control the pace a little bit and to try to preserve my tires a little bit, then maybe I won't have to, play chaser at the back half. So, but yeah, glad it worked out. And great night for the team overall, and move on to the next round of the bracket too. So there's that.
And of course, moving on with the bracket, as you mentioned, the checkered flag, no better spot. But we saw you and Morton so close, and for the first half, it was Justin Morton's race leading there. What was the most important part of that strategy that kept you in the going, and then, of course, making that pass so quick into the second stint, which is what eventually set you free for the win?
Just being patient. I was worried, honestly, once I got to second and he already had like a 2-second gap. I was like, great, that's going to require some effort to try to close up. But I was just trying to be patient and not rush to gain all that back. I was just trying to chip away at it a little bit. And I saw him like locking the inside front a lot, like hit some of the hairpins and stuff. So I was like, all right, well, he's making some mistakes here, so I don't have to get too crazy with it. Just, don't make mistakes when he is, or if he is, or whatever. And so that helped a bit too. And then, I gave away some of the time with the slowdown there in the last corner. When I got to him the first time, I just cut that inside curb a little too much and gave all the time away. But then I don't really know what happened. I don't know if he had just had a bad lap or two, or what happened before we pitted. I was able to close most of that back up, but that was the big thing. Just being super, super patient and try not to overreact and big picture race. Which it's so hard here with the way all the corners flow together to not try to like rush the entries to slide the rears. And if you get the rears overheated, you're pretty much, it's kind of game over. So just trying to manage that as best I could. But that's kind of what helped, I think, in the first bit to close up.
And just like that, pulling through for 30 laps here. Of course, a road course. We've seen the entire JTM crew so good at these road courses and the twists and turns coming in very early this year. However, we of course know that you're one of the drivers hoping to fight for the overall title. And next up, Nashville Superspeedway. This is a track we've seen previously in integrity competition, and it's going to be 130 laps of racing there next time around. You think there's a chance to keep this good success going? It's a big momentum night for the entire team that I'm sure of, but how are your feelings about it in particular when it comes to your opportunities?
Yeah, I hope so. Nashville's been a little bit hit or miss for me the last couple times that we've been there. So, I hope I can put together a good race, and I hope as a team we can. I feel like we've been off to a really good start this year. Obviously, Cody won Daytona, and I felt like as a whole we ran a great race there. We all had great speed last week. It's just Cody and I, at the very least, we kind of screwed ourselves and put ourselves on the wrong strategy. But I think either one of us probably could have won there, and Justin got caught up in a wreck, but he was fast too. So we've all been clicking, at the start of the year, and tonight just kind of adds to it. So. I hope we can kind of keep the hot streak going if we can. I don't see why we can't, but there's a long way to go. So, but at least we got a couple wins here to start the year off. Got some the playoff spots locked in, which is new for this year for the Ignite series. So that definitely takes some stress off, and we can try to go have some more fun these next few weeks.
And getting that first win early in the going here, Thomas Bresci, the checkered flag is yours in the Circuit of the Americas. Is there anyone else you'd like to shout out after tonight's event?
Yeah, just again, as always, the JT Motorsports guys for their effort, and just all the league partners that we have, and our admin team, and not sponsored, but shout out to Next Level Racing, of course, for their support anyways, but the very nice rig that I'm now sitting in and very much enjoying. So very happy to have that this year. But yeah, just thanks to everybody in the series, and obviously you as well for putting on the broadcast and getting our product out there, and hopefully everybody enjoyed watching.
It was a great battle to watch from start to finish, I'll tell you that much, from my seat at least. So Thomas Bresci, winning tonight here in Coda. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it, bud. Take care.
All right, Bresci on the move, Justin Morton just a half second behind. Of course, the second half of the 1-2 finish, we saw the battle from top to bottom, and a podium, of course, starting from the pole, getting laps led, an overall successful night for the team and you as well. But I'm sure there's a little bit of a feeling, there could have been just a bit more at the end of the day. Justin Morton, runner-up tonight, how you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good with the finish after how the season is so far started for me. Just a little bit short there at the end, but it is what it is.
And although, of course, not going to be able to collect the checkered flag, big points night for the team, starting from the pole and leading just over half the laps, I would think, given the, of course, pit stop and such. So with that being said, very successful for this team. And what was it like out there? It seems like you and Bresci checked out, and for the majority of that one, and especially the early going, you were the man who commanded the pace and held yourself up in front of him.
Yeah, I probably could have pushed a little bit more on that initial run. I dropped off really bad at the end. It was kind of just a little inconsistent. That was such a hard combination. The cars had very little grip. It kind of felt like how the Gen 6 car was a few years ago with the no spoiler. Just you have to be so nice on the throttle and smooth on your inputs. Even if I wasn't going head to head with Bresci there, I would still be probably working as hard as I was just trying to keep it on the, well, mostly keep it on the track. And yeah, it was a tricky combination. Yeah, fun race.
And overall, of course, for many drivers, a huge challenge. You were one of the many who, of course, were able to break out, but none, of course, more extreme than the case of you and Thomas Bresci. JTM, top 3. We've mentioned that, of course, a few times in the broadcast already. But for you, of course, getting this podium out the way early, bringing some momentum in. Nashville's up next. It's an oval, so we go back to the left turns largely. You think there's a chance to maybe keep the good running up?
Yeah, I hope so. I seem to run really good at Nashville. I also kind of drive it weird compared to everybody else, so I think it kind of works in my favor. But yeah, I look forward to Nashville. I didn't really think I was going to like it whenever I first saw it was being brought back to NASCAR and iRacing. But ever since we started racing there, it's kind of jumped up my list on favorite track to drive, so I look forward to it.
And looking forward to seeing the success continue here. The number 9 of Justin Morton breaking out here big time in the Circuit of the Americas. If there's anyone else you'd like to shout out, make sure to let us know.
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the JTM guys who ran. Obviously, Bresci with the win. Big congrats to him. We always seem to go head to head in the ovals. Matt for managed to go 0x. That was quite impressive to hear him say he was at 0x the entire race. So that's a huge accomplishment for how tight the track limits are here. And Cody bought the track like 30 minutes before the race, and he was able to put together a race where I don't think he looped it. So that's always good. Yeah, thanks to all the admins who run this league. It's really a great place to come race on Monday and Tuesday nights. And thank you for doing the broadcasting. You do a fantastic job.
Justin Morton, part of the fantastic battle up in front for the race win all night long. Second place finish. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Morton on the move. Matthew Thunhorse completing a much different race from his teammates, but all the while, it's a podium and checked out as well. 12 seconds, the next driver was behind you there. It looked like even though you weren't quite up there for the win, you were out in your own world as well, and nobody could quite keep up with you, whether they were ahead or behind. And I heard 0 incidents all throughout the entire race. What a night it was for this entire A team. Still a podium, and a great one at that. What's it like, of course, coming through with his top 3 here in Austin?
Yeah, David, it was one of those that kind of when I saw that start, and I don't know what happened with Cody Smith there that caused him to get checked up. But then once it was me and Don was really nice, let me go. And there for a while, I was like, wait, I'm not pulling away from Don. And there were a couple times I blew a brake zone, and it was and then finally I was able to get away from him, I think after like 7-10 laps, somewhere in that range. But it was kind of relaxing because honestly, I felt like in between I was driving a boat and my brake zones were really messed up to where I was like, oh, this is the right brake zones when I did a couple of laps during the week. And then I came in here and I'm like, I'm 20 feet too early turning into some of these hairpins. And it's like, oh, wait, can't turn in yet. And then it's, So, I really felt like all of a sudden I was wearing my right shoe on my left foot and just 2 wrong shoes. I was wearing a winter coat and it's summer and it was just like, oh no. So, to not have any challenge kind of allowed me just to mentally just kind of do my own thing and not to be pressured. So, because yeah, especially with how stout Thomas and Justin were, I was a rather pitiful third of JTM. But at that point, it was once they started driving away, it's okay 0x. I already know Bresci's aiming for 100, so just go 0x and go the other way with it.
You see, that's one thing I don't think any other driver could have pulled off tonight. The 0X, you had enough pace to comfortably keep it up there in third, which seemed to be the case. You were still gaining all throughout the night. So what led you to keeping it in the 0X bracket in regards to the driving style? Was there anything you really let back on, or were you just letting the race come to you?
It was just more of one of those, especially with the 0 incident bonus points, and once Don let me out in front of him, and it was just, I knew they were gone. I knew I wasn't going to keep up with them, especially with the way some of the runoff is on these places. That there were a couple spots where I kind of blew a corner. I could just gun it up and not lose any time, but it's just one of those that kind of for points reasons, it was just, well, hey, I'm not going to get a bonus point any other way other than the one lap I stayed out long to lead a lap, but. Other than that, and just the midway, it's just a way to pad some points. And so there were a couple times I was like, oh no, Edge, go get back on track, oh dear, and just hanging on for dear life at certain points. And because I think Blake Gordon was the other person that got 0X with me, so 0X club there, woohoo. But yeah, it was at that point, especially once we got past halfway, it was just a pride thing. Like, yeah, I'm gonna keep this thing on the track because my other kind of pseudo teammates are doing enough work getting the incidents, so I'll try to balance them out.
That being said, it looks like it's going to be a clean job and a podium finish. Matthew Thunhorst here in third. And before we step away to Nashville up next, is there anything else you'd like to say? Some final comments or shout-outs?
Thanks for everybody tuning in and watching, and I hope it wasn't too boring. I know Bressy and Justin were all over each other, so hopefully that was exciting. Sounds like there was a good battle for fifth, so hopefully it kept you busy a little bit. We didn't get too spread out there, David, but just thanks to everybody at Integrity for putting this on, and just you and everybody else at Fireball Talks for putting this on for everybody. And like I said, everybody that tunes in, everybody that helps sponsor the Integrity Lead. So, and quick little shout out, Gael, hope you're feeling better. Hope you watch this and things get better for you. Not much else I can do for the man, but I hope he has good thoughts. So special shout out to him. It was a little miss that we didn't have his happy spirit and fun shenanigans in the chat today. So hopefully things go better for him. And just like I said, thanks to everybody involved. So, hopefully we put on a good show tonight. And I guess for the Integrity folks, we'll see you next Monday. And for, tomorrow on the Octane side, we'll see you at Vegas. So maybe try to roll the dice and do better than third there.
And once again, Matthew Thornhorst looking to do the double. And for the second straight week, it's a podium that kicks off your racing here in the Integrity Racing League. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, David.
Matthew Thunhorst on the move. Once again, of course, he mentioned Gael Brooks, unfortunately not able to make the race tonight. We'd love to have him and, of course, all of the many drivers we missed from Fontana back on the track. Gael in particular, of course, we mentioned that, or rather, it was mentioned he couldn't make it very late into the going tonight. Of course, we'd love to have him back, and if he's watching us, we'd love to, of course, see a return when we go next at the Nashville Superspeedway. 130 laps next week. The Integrity Racing action continues tomorrow, and we won't be done as the virtual Sin City will come alive. Stay tuned for Las Vegas. It's going to be exclusively tomorrow on FTN. However, tonight you've been watching coverage from the virtual Circuit of the Americas and the Integrity Ignite Series third race of the season. This is the Keep Austin Weird 103. Thomas Bressy comes home as a race winner, and when all is said and done, JTM gets through with a full podium sweep. I've been David Kreutz, commentator and producer for tonight's event, so if you enjoyed tonight's action, be sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is instrumental in the success of each and every one of our leagues and the channel itself, and we thank you dearly for your continued support. We'll be back tomorrow night with more coverage of the Integrity Racing League, and we'll be back next Monday at the Nashville Superspeedway as the Ignite Series schedule continues as well. Thank you all for your immense support, and we will see you whenever we're live again on FTN. Thank you for your support, and we hope you have a fantastic night.